This is Pittsburgh Sunday Morning. My name's Sean McDowell. If you'd like to be a guest on the program, if you're a member of a group or organization that has an upcoming cause or event that the listening community will be interested in, doesn't necessarily have to be a local cause or event, doesn't even have to be a nonprofit cause or event either. Contact me. My name again is Sean McDowell. My email address is my name, Sean McDowell. You spell Sean, S-E-A-N, Sean McDowell at iHeartMedia.com. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Welcoming back to Pittsburgh Sunday Morning, it's our friends from Achieva, Western PA's largest provider of comprehensive services and supports for children and adults with disabilities and their families. Every year, more than 15,000 individuals from this area and their families come to Achieva for assistance and support. And welcoming back our friend Reid Wolfe, Senior Vice President of Achieva and President of Achieva Supports. Reid, welcome back to you.
Thanks, Sean. Great to be here.
www.achieva.info, 412-995-5000. Achieva has locations in Allegheny, Westmoreland, and Beaver counties. Achieva is the only agency of its kind here in Western PA, providing comprehensive services and supports for people with disabilities and their families from pre-birth and throughout an individual's entire life cycle. And we're going to talk about all these services this morning. Again, www.achieva.info, 412-995-5000. From early intervention therapies for infants and toddlers to in-home support for medically fragile senior citizens, Achieva provides a full spectrum of services for people of all ages and abilities and their families, too. We're going to talk a little bit, Reid, just to touch on the history, because I know it was born right here in Western PA, early 1950s, but Achieva is now a world-renowned leader in the field of disabilities. Reid, your organization, it's known for its innovative programs, steadfast dedication to infants and children and adults with disabilities and their families. Achieva's mission statement, committing to excellence in lifelong services for people with disabilities and their families. And the vision statement, Reid, the day when people with disabilities can fully participate in their communities. That's what you guys are all about.
Actually, we were founded in 1951. Achieva was founded in 1951 and is celebrating this year 65 years of providing services.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Achieva was founded by a group of family members who all desired the same thing, and that was to ensure that their children with disabilities had the same chances in life as children should be given. And their commitment started a nationwide movement that changed the long history of isolation and segregation for both children and adults with disabilities. As you said, we've been a leader for quite some time in the field of disabilities, and we are known for innovation program and steadfast dedication to children and adults with disabilities and their families.
Well, again, it's Reid Wolfe, Senior Vice President of Achieva and President of Achieva Supports, www.achieva.info, 412-995-5000. Locations in Allegheny, Westmoreland, and Beaver counties, going way back, as Reid just pointed out, since the early 1950s. And who could imagine today, Reid, growing up in the 1950s or even the 1960s, and you had a disability of some sort, a physical disability, a developmental disability? That was a really tough time, a difficult time if you were a child or an adult, because of the isolation, the segregation in society, our society back then.
And a lot of those children, and the only options that families had at that time were state centers. And
yes,
I think with that segregation, we've seen a real decrease now over the years with moving individuals from a state center back into the community where they can lead productive lives and be empowered to make choices and do the things that we all normally would like to do.
Yeah. And back then, from an education perspective and a social perspective, if you had a physical disability, a developmental disability, 50s or 60s, mainstream integration for those young and older, it didn't happen all that often. And like you said, there were institutions back then, actually.
That's correct. And I think As we've evolved, we've been looking at more of a person-centered approach, working with families and the individuals in terms of what their needs are, how best to meet those needs, but utilizing the community as a whole as well in terms of that person being an active member in their neighborhood and having real jobs for real pay is really important for them to feel as though it's not a disability, but it's an ability.
The last time Reid was with us here of Achieva, Senior Vice President and also President of Achieva Supports, we spoke about how many prestigious awards Achieva has won over the years, so much national recognition and media coverage that they've received for the services and the programs that they provide to people with disabilities and their families. And people in your field, Reid, they come in from around the country to visit your facilities here in Western PA for advice. You guys, I know, provide consulting advice to at least, this was a couple years ago, maybe the number has grown, at least 22 other states through both national and state boards. I've been to the website. Again, it's achieva.info, providing lifelong support from infancy to the senior stage of life. And we're talking from early childhood, adolescents, adults, seniors. We're going to talk about some of the Achieva services now. Reid, as far as advocacy, for more than 60 years, and you just pointed out, is it 61? 65.
65 years.
65 years. Achieva's disability advocates have been working with families and self-advocates to ensure that families have access to information, support, and advocacy for their family member that may have a developmental disability, a physical disability. People with disabilities will have access to quality educational and community services, and that in Harrisburg and in the nation's capital, policymakers and legislators are informed about disability issues.
We do an awful lot with families, particularly around providing webinars and training so that families feel much more comfortable in how to maneuver through a complex system such as the intellectual disability system. And I think on our website, families can go there and find these webinars that may interest them. We do an awful lot of work with school districts in terms of kids making sure that they're being mainstreamed into the regular classrooms, that their individual education plan is being adhered to. And as you said, we do an awful lot, the advocates do an awful lot in terms of making sure that we get the necessary funding that we need in order to provide the services that we provide.
We're talking about some of the Achieva services and programs here with Reid Wolfe, Senior Vice President of Achieva and President of Achieva Supports. A home of my own. So, Reid, there's a crisis apparently across the country. Families of adults with disabilities, intellectual, physical disabilities, developmental disabilities, they're looking at long waiting lists for important services. So you guys came up with a plan to assist people with disabilities to move out of their families' homes into homes of their own.
Correct. We started about 2.5 years ago a capital campaign, and it was a very successful capital campaign. One of the initiatives of that capital campaign was Home of My Own. And we know families and individuals who have grown up with one another, who know one another, who want to have their own place to call home. Whether it's an apartment or whether it's a house, we try to match those individuals and we partner with the families in terms of providing a brokerage for them to be able to get their own place, and then we also can provide supports to those individuals while they're living in that apartment. We have some people who are getting state and federal funding for this. Some families are paying private pay for this. But again, I think it's a thing that individuals, based on our mission, that they want to be part of the community, and they want to be empowered to make choices. And so this is another option for them that we provide.
And once again, Achieva's vision statement, the day when people with disabilities can fully participate in their communities. So who looks after these adults, Reid, the home of my own? Now that they're living on their own, Who makes sure that everything's going okay for them? Again, they may have intellectual learning disabilities. How do they understand like today's devices, like maybe a TV remote or how to work a dishwasher?
Well, we have staff that do provide that type of support that help them based on what their needs are. We do assess each of the individuals to determine what level of support they will need, what kind of skills do they have, and being able to maintain an apartment. This isn't for everyone. If somebody needs more extensive type services, then there are other options for them as well. But then again, we're back to a waiting list. But I think most families that we've been working with also help and partner in terms of providing some of the support as well. So they may come into the home and work with their sons and daughters along with our staff. So it's more of a partnership that we're providing. But it's been successful, and I think we've seen a lot of great things happen, and families have been surprised in terms of the individuals that have been in Home of My Own, knowing some of the things that they're capable of doing in their own apartment that they weren't doing in their own home because the family was doing it for them.
We're talking about some of Achieva's services that they provide. Once again, www.achieva.info. Western PA's largest early intervention provider, Reid, Achieva, is nationally renowned with more than 50 years of experience with infants and toddlers with developmental delays. We're talking about, and this number may have jumped, 165 highly qualified Achieva professionals who have more than 1,300 years of combined experience with infants and toddlers. And again, we're talking about Achieva's early intervention services. So including early childhood education, feeding and nutrition, hearing services, occupational therapy, physical therapy, playgroup, social work, speech therapy, vision services. You guys cover everything.
We do, and I think when we talk about lifelong supports, Achieva has always been innovative in terms of looking at how do we provide lifelong supports. And the very first service that anyone would come into Achieva is early intervention, birth to 3 years of age. We provide over 200 or 2,000 children per year in providing services, just as the therapies that you were mentioning. I do think that it is probably one of the more beneficial programs when a family is faced from the get-go with a child with a disability, that they have the support that they need from an agency such as us, of coming into the home, working with that child based on that disorder that child may have, and also providing the necessary tools for the family to be able to cope with that, to be able to help with that therapy and trained on that therapy. So when the therapist isn't there, they do have the tools to be able to continue throughout the rest of the week with that child.
It's Achieva's early intervention services, and we're talking about the infants, toddlers, helping kids with hearing loss, maybe speech delays, autism spectrum disorders, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy. Reid, also, if you're concerned about your child's development, maybe an infant, a toddler, you can call Achieva for a no-cost consultation?
That's correct. Anytime that a family would like to call, whether it's regarding early intervention or any other type of services, they can call Achieva at 412-995-5000, and there'll be somebody there to help answer whatever questions they may have.
Achieva, again, the premier provider of early intervention services in Southwest PA. I noticed, Reid, and I think the last time you were here we talked about this, part of your support network at Achieva for early childhood services is family support. And all of your staff members in Achieva's family support department have either children or family members themselves with disabilities. So these employees of yours, they immediately identify with someone else who may have a special needs child or family member.
And I think that's really key, that we have family members who are on staff who have a child with a disability who can relate to from the very start of what that family is going through, and what better way to be able to help with a situation of having a child with a disability, but being able to listen to someone who's gone down that road, who knows what they're feeling and what they're going through, and to be able to help assist them in a way that's very positive and nurturing and giving the advice that they need to be able to help them through the entire process.
It's Southwestern Pennsylvania's largest provider of lifelong supports for individuals with disabilities and their families. Achieva, the area's only agency to provide this lifelong partnership, and their vision statement, the day when people with disabilities can fully participate in their communities. Reid Wolfe is with us this morning, Senior Vice President of Achieva. Reid is President of Achieva Supports, and we're talking about some of Achieva's services and programs now. Home care. Achieva provides in-home and community support for people of any age with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And the goals here, Reid, goals and supports designed to build independence and to ensure health and safety. And you pointed this out already. Achieva can provide caregiver support for maybe just a few hours every day, maybe just a few hours every week, every month, or around the clock, depending on the needs.
That's correct. And we have approximately over 300 individuals that are receiving in-home supports and respite supports. And it also gives the family time that they can be able to take care of their own personal business as well, and knowing that they have staff support there to help provide the necessary coverage and supervision to their loved ones. It's a very fast-growing program. A lot of families like to keep their sons and daughters at home rather than being in a residential-type program. And again, I think it's a great opportunity for a caregiver to come in, and we've hired family caregivers. We've hired relatives who know the individual, and they know the family, and what better way to provide the necessary support so that the individual is successful.
And speaking of Achieva's caregivers, and this is serious stuff, their home care program, it's licensed by the Department of Health. It's regulated and monitored by the PA Department of Human Services, Office of Developmental Programs, Allegheny County Department of Human Services. And if you're an Achieva home care employee, you really need to know your stuff, because I was researching this on your website, Reid. So if you're an Achieva home care employee, you need to know everything from CPR to infectious diseases, fire safety, medication management, nutrition and diet, emergency preparedness.
We have an extensive training that we're required to provide, but it's a training that needs to be provided if you're going to be providing care to an individual. So we provide all those trainings to the individuals, and it usually averages out to about 24 hours of training per year per staff person.
Wow. www.achieva.info, 412-995-5000. Again, Achieva is Western PA's largest provider of comprehensive services and supports for children and adults with disabilities and their families. Achieva's vision statement, the day when people with disabilities can fully participate in their communities. Reid Wolfe is with us, Senior Vice President, joining us again from Achieva. Reid is President of Achieva Supports. Achieva's residential supports program, Reid, you guys have nearly 50 residential homes. Maybe that number has changed since the last time you were here. 50 residential homes throughout Allegheny County, 22 homes in Westmoreland County. Now, these residential homes are for adults with disabilities to give them the chance to live independently from their families in a comfortable home and community setting.
Right, and each of the homes provide 24-hour coverage. So we have staff that are trained to work in the home. It is the individual's homes. They're typically 3-person homes. However, we do have some 1-person and 2-person homes, but typically 3-person homes, and they're staffed 24/7. And we provide those supports not only in Allegheny County, but also in Westmoreland County.
And I think you mentioned earlier, Reid, you guys work with families whose loved one with a disability is living with the family.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, the parenting education program, so these are parents and caregivers who themselves may have intellectual and developmental disabilities, but they're raising children and they need help learning, say, even parenting skills.
Correct. We have a curriculum in working with families who have an intellectual disability, who have children. We have a parenting curriculum that we provide, and we work with those mom and dads. We get a lot of referrals through Children, Youth, and Families in Allegheny County and Westmoreland County. Our main mission and our main goal is to reunite that family, to keep that family unit together. So we do an awful lot of work with the moms in terms of working through some of the parenting skills that we all, as parents have learned over the years, but a lot of things that the individuals or the parents that we work with may be lacking. So we provide them the necessary skills so they can be successful parents as well.
And again, Achieva providing comprehensive services and supports for people with disabilities and their families from pre-birth throughout an individual's entire life cycle. Reid, 412-995-5000, www.achieva.info. It's important that we talk about Achieva's vocational supports. You guys, and we talked about this the last time you visited, you guys offer job training and supports for people with disabilities, 5 vocational facilities in Western PA, Bridgeville, in the Strip District, West Mifflin, Wilkinsburg, Greensburg, and you guys offer manufacturing and business services to local businesses, Reid, which maybe not everybody was aware of.
We do. We have a pallet business that we operate
Yep.
In our Bridgeville plant, and we average 10,000 pallets per month in manufacturing those pallets. We have non-disabled workers working with disabled workers in manufacturing those pallets. We also have a cleaning and janitorial business that we operate that does commercial cleaning for different businesses throughout the Pittsburgh area. We also have a property maintenance business where we do landscape work, mowing, mulching, and in the winter we do snow removal and salting. Our plants, though, is going to be, when we talked earlier about innovation, we are moving and really looking at divesting ourselves from a segregated setting, which is our plants, our vocational plants, to moving individuals into the community so that they are integrated in the community.
In the workplace?
In the workplace.
Okay.
So a person may either be competitively employed if they have those skill sets, or they could be doing volunteer work out in the community. We're establishing a creative arts program in the community.
I was going to ask you about that.
Which we are working with different studios that artists that we have individuals who are very good at art and making that into a vocation. They would be selling their artwork, but the studio would be integrated with disabled along with non-disabled clientele. We'd also be looking at other community-based experiences, and we're right now beginning to establish partnerships with local universities, Duquesne University, University of Pittsburgh. We've been working with Giant Eagle for competitive employment positions. We're going to be approaching foundations and looking at grant opportunities to give us the necessary funding to proceed with this. But our hope is over the next 3 to 4 years that we will have completely divested ourselves in providing a segregated program, that it would be fully integrated in the community.
Well, again, Achieva's vision statement, the day when people with disabilities can fully participate in their communities. Reid, the Community Employment Program, pre-employment services, and you guys offer social skills training, folks with disabilities, learning disabilities, and intellectual disabilities. You allow people with disabilities to try out actual jobs while under supervision. You help those with disabilities learn how to interact effectively with supervisors and coworkers, business customers. You help people with disabilities to get their resume together. Interview training, mock interviews. These are also critical in today's workplace when you're trying to get a job. These are skills that everybody probably needs a lot of polishing up on, myself included.
We have a program called Pathway to Employment. And
Yeah.
as you said, Sean, we work with individuals who really want to work in the community for real pay, for real jobs, and we do the necessary things in terms of what type of skill sets may that person be lacking, and we provide the necessary support in teaching them how to write a resume, what needs to be in a resume, how to conduct themselves in an interview. We do community-based assessments, which means we have people that go out to real jobs. We assess them on those jobs, and we look and try again. It's real key to match them to things that they're interested in so that they are successful in that job. And then we provide a job coach in order to help provide the necessary support that they need on that job. And we're there for as long as it takes to provide the necessary training, and then we also provide the follow-along for them and just check with both them and the employer in terms of how things are going.
Like Reid was just talking about, job coaching, on-the-job training for their clients with disabilities, school-to-work transition services, preparing students for competitive employment. Reid Wolfe is with us, Senior Vice President of Achieva, President of Achieva Supports, www.achieva.info, 412-995-5000. Your customized day programs, Reid, again, off of your website, in the Strip, West Mifflin, and Greensburg. So they might include art. You mentioned a lot of your clients are very good at art. Music and drama therapy, exercise, community outings, guest speakers. We're talking about some of the services and programs provided by Achieva. The senior program, Strip District in Greensburg. So this is an extension of the adult training facility. So this is for older adults with disabilities, but not really looking to spend their day, say, working. They would rather spend their days in some other enriching manner.
Correct. And again, we will be looking at how can we have those individuals, rather than being in a segregated setting, move into an integrated setting. So if we have seniors who have retired, they no longer want to work, which we all try to go to in terms of not when we retire, not wanting to work anymore, but what else will we be doing? But having them move into a regular senior center that's integrated with non-disabled seniors. So we're working towards that. There's individuals that still within a day program who want to do volunteer work. We do community-based experiences where we have people go to the museums. We have people that go to the art shows. We have people that may go to the movies. They may go for walks. But again, the program would be without walls. So they'll be in the community, active members in the community, participating in the community.
And Reid mentioned earlier their own businesses, manufacturing businesses run by Achieva. They have their own pallet manufacturing industry. They have a packaging and assembly industry, mailing and letter shop services, property maintenance, Reid mentioned, snow removal for both residential and commercial properties, janitorial services. So these are reliable revenue sources for the whole operation, Reid.
It's a reliable for the agency as a whole. It provides us necessary options for individuals to choose a vocation that we provide. It's our own business. But again, with those businesses, we want to ensure that people, when they're working, that they're getting paid at least minimum wage. And we're moving towards that as well, where our businesses will also be paying minimum wage. We're not going to be paying sub-minimum wage work for what they do. They will be paid minimum wage and above. So we also have a cleaning and janitorial crew that works at the TAC 911. And those individuals, it's a federal contract that we have, they get paid up to $12 to $13 an hour doing cleaning and janitorial at the TAC 911 Air Force Base.
Well, I've visited your Bridgeville plant, the pallet plant. It's huge.
It is huge, and that was another part of our $8 million capital campaign 2 years ago, where we brought in additional machinery so we could be much more cost effective, have less waste with wood, and yeah, it's just growing leaps and bounds. We have a heating kiln where we heat the pallets. Some of the pallets are shipped locally here, but we also have pallets that are also shipped internationally.
This is Reid Wolfe, Senior Vice President of Achieva, President of Achieva Supports, www.achieva.info, 412-995-5000. Reid, we're almost out of time. What about the 18th annual $1 Million Golf Outing coming up? What's the date? It's in August?
It's August the 15th, and actually, since it's snowing out today, why not think summer? So our 18th annual golf outing is Monday, August the 15th. It'll be held at Valley Brook Country Club. We'll have more information on our website at www.achieva.info, but anybody is welcome to come. The more that we can get, the better. It's one of our leading fundraisers that we do every year, and it's been a lot of fun over the past 18 years in having this outing.
Yeah, the 18th annual $1 Million Golf Outing, August 15th, Valley Brook Country Club out in McMurray, PA. 3 lucky golfers will randomly be selected to shoot for $1 million hole-in-one prize.
That's right, and we haven't hit it yet, but maybe this year that'll happen.
A live and silent auction, buffet brunch, dinner, raffle prizes for Achieva, the 18th annual $1 million golf outing, Valley Brook Country Club, August 15th, www.achieva.info. Western PA's largest provider of comprehensive services and supports for children and adults with disabilities and their families. Thanking Reid Wolfe, Senior Vice President of Achieva, President of Achieva Supports, www.achieva.info, 412-995-5000. The only agency of its kind here in Western PA providing comprehensive services and supports for people with disabilities and their families from pre-birth and throughout an entire individual's life cycle. Their vision statement, the day when people with disabilities can fully participate in their communities. Thanks so much. Great seeing you again, Reid.
Thanks, Sean.
This has been Pittsburgh Sunday Morning. My name's Sean McDowell.